is your boy Pepe G coming to you live from the Q-Side Show with WMCR Studios. Tune in. Hey, how you doing? This is your boy Pepe G. Sorry to start off that way, but this is your boy Pepe G coming to you live from Q-Side Show that has been created by WMCR Studios, and the topic for today is music. I was going to invite my dad to this topic, but of course I started late and other people have agendas, and I didn't want to bombard him with podcasting at this hour. So I'm just going to go ahead without my pops. This topic, of course, once again, is about music. In the 1970s, that's when hip-hop started to become very popular trend among the Gen Xers. Among these Gen Xers was my dad. My dad introduced me and my brother to the Gen Xers music, which I became instantly hooked. Like Run DMC, I got introduced to DJ Herc from the Bronx, and all those other guys, those old songs, those old music that I kind of miss because they actually said words, not like how my generation is. They had music for vibing. Music has always played a role in our society, especially when it came to kids and teenagers. Music is everywhere, whether it's being played in cars, it's at parties or movies. It's a popular language. It speaks to everyone. What comes with music is parents' concern for what goes on in their ears, or what's the kind of message it's sending through music. To understand the importance of music in the life of teenagers in the 1990s, they did a survey of 2,760 American adolescents or teenagers from ages 14 to 16. They revealed that they listen to kids in that age listen to music 40 hours a week. I don't know how much that is in a month. Hold on, give me a second. So we do 40 times 4. That's 160 hours a month. That's how long it is. That's 160 hours a month. In the year 2000, 2,465 teenagers in England listen to music for around 2 hours and 45 minutes per day. So that's a long time. That's a very long time. And of course, teenagers aren't the only ones that have been associated with music. It's been reported that 8 to 10 children, the ages of 8 to 10, that children listen to years of music about 1 hour per day instead. When it comes to music, I'm sorry for these long pauses, I'm sorry. When it comes to music, the correlation between music and behavior is the way music is being advocated. Some of them are... Now, the big concern is lyrics. That is the big concern. Sorry for those long pauses, but the big concern is lyrics. That's the thing that concerns parents. More or less teenagers, 17% of males said that they like the lyrics of the song, as well as 25% of teenage girls. A study has been done by a guy named Robert. He studied teenagers in the 1990s and found that the biggest risk to teenagers is writing lyrics in their negative feelings and emotions. Another researchers said that kids in 1999 who listened to heavy metal music were more rebellious than any generation of all time. Rap music, of course, being the second. It's been linked to suicide, depression, and other delinquency issues. Which is also another factor in rap music. It's even played a role in how guys treat girls. Wow, amazing. It's not amazing, but that's something truly interesting. A study has been shown that moms in 1999, 445 of them, say that school violence, 47% of school violence started from music. Now, how music has affected me. Music has affected me is that I too became rebellious against my parents. I listened to a lot of 90s gangster rap. I was very heavily into that kind of music. And my mom had to put a limit on the music because I wanted to live that gangster lifestyle that I thought was fun at first. But down at the end of the road, the gangster lifestyle is not a very happy lifestyle. Of course, during this podcast, I was watching The Sopranos, and the gangster lifestyle I was listening to, it reminded me of how these Italian men in The Sopranos were just violent, lunatic, like just unkind, evil people, and it puts a dampen on the Italian people. Italian people are Americans just like us. They work hard. Their culture is very interesting. I love the whole Catholic Church and their food and their country. And that's a good thing to look at. But when they betray Italians through these kind of movies and music and just entertainment, it's supposed to dampen on their culture. And it makes me not want to be part of the culture. And mind you, it's TV. It's not real. But yet, I still feel uncomfortable when it comes to us kind of G-banging, not G-banging, but violent entertainment that I used to like, but now I've changed extremely. Now, discussion of music when it comes to mood. Scientists say that sad music can't just make you depressed, but it can also make you happy. And I won't lie, I have felt happy while listening to sad music. I won't lie, because the emotional effect is that it leaves you with not a system, but leaves you with a chemical reaction in your brain called nostalgia, or an emotion in your body called nostalgia, which is pleasant because the song reminds the person of a time period that was happy and full of adventure. Like, for instance, Gladiator. When I sit back and listen to Gladiator, I think of Chinese food. I think of the Rottweilers, karate class. Just the good old days when I was young and I had no bills to pay for. I had no problems. I was just a happy kid. I mean, I was a miserable kid, but I was also happy because the responsibilities I have now makes me look back and say, you know, Joe, back then you had a lot. You know, you had a lot of things going on for you. Not just going on for you, but you're young and you have much to think about. You know, I was at recess. I was outside with recess playing with the guys. It was much warmer now. The weather, we understood. It's not like now where the weather's unpredictable. It's hot one minute and then it's cold the next. Playing basketball, pizza on Fridays. You know, hanging out with my friend Tony. It was just the good days. There were no problems. But now I'm 24. I'm bald. I'm paying bills. And now I wish I was just a younger man one more time. Just a younger man one more time. And another emotion that people felt was peace, tenderness, and wonder. I felt that too. Sad music can help us activate some problem-solving skills so that when real problems come up, that imagination that the music brought out in us can help us solve the problem. For example, when I was going through a depression, due to a girl I really liked. She was Colombian, and I liked her a lot. For months, all I listened to was Who's Holding Donna Now, which I remixed and put on my website. You should check that out. The link to it is not really great, or is not really, I won't say not really a great source, but it's just, I had to upgrade that. But I did put it on my website, and it was just, it brings me back. It reminds me of her. Every time I listen to it, it reminds me of her. Now that I have closed that chapter in life, once again, as miserable as I was, I also felt happy, especially now. Or I did feel some type of happiness when I thought about her. And that's how I felt. Now, how music is beneficial to anxiety is by changing the body's heart rate, its breathing, blood pressure. I need to get in tune because my bedtime habits are bad. Like, I'm just up all night doing work. I'm up doing this. I'm up studying. And that's good and whatever. But there's a point where you need to wind down, turn down the lights, put some soft music, read. And it really helps you sleep. And I think that's the number one problems with Americans when they complain about sleep is that the screen is always on. Sometimes you need to turn it off. For example, I have a friend named Lee. And as much as I love him, he's the homie. He's my heart. He is just too much noise sometimes. We go to the theater. On the way to the theater, we're playing music. When we get inside the theater, it's noise. When we come back out of the theater, he wants to listen to more music. It's like, learn when to shut it down and relax. And give your eyes a break. This is the number one problem with the eyes in America. Or, people's eye health. Because they're always staring at screens all day. Sometimes turn it off. Go outside. Just get away from screens. That's a problem. We're always looking at screens. That's why some of us are in glasses. So just take a break. There's nothing wrong with taking a break. Now back to the music thing. When it comes to music and different generation, is that music and generations that all have a different vibe. For example, my dad's parents didn't like his music. Sometimes my grandfather would take his tape, and if he didn't like the rap music, he would take out the tape and just reel it all out. And of course, back then tapes had like little, like brownish slivers of like paper or plastic or like membrane. It's like tape membrane that they were used for music, and he would reel it out to ruin it so the music doesn't get played. So what my dad used to do and his brothers used to do, he used to take those tapes, same tapes, he would like put it under like a lamp, he put like a pencil through it and start reeling it back in. And you better hope that after your grandfather or the 70s era dads or the 70s dads didn't ruin, you hope and pray that they didn't ruin it. Because if you reel it out too much, you can ruin it, and you have to get the music back. And what they used to do is that they'd take empty tapes, they'd put it in the box, in the boom box or whatever it was, and they would play the music from whatever station it was. Or you had to find the station. I'm not sure. That's not my generation. I'm a different generation. But they had to record the music on the tape so they can get the song. And my parents people in my dad's era had tapes for everything. There was breakup song tapes. There was happy tapes. They played the music that they're in the mood for. I know that's old, but that's just how it was in the 80s for my parents. My grandparents are Jamaican immigrants. They grew up hearing like Sam Cooke, Otis Redding, Lionel Hampton, that 60s, 50s era. And for my record players, which didn't have a skip button or a fast forward button, my dad's music was like cassette tapes, like Walkmans. That's what I'm looking for. It was cassette tapes. So my dad had a Walkman, and I remember one story. My dad was on the train, and this is Brooklyn, 1980s. So it's not really ghetto, but some parts of Brooklyn they needed to stay out of. That it was just bad in the 80s. So my dad and my uncle, his the middle brother, his older brother, because my dad's the last brother. Um, he's the youngest brother. My dad had a Walkman, and these guys were trying to take it from him on the train. And mind you, my dad he's street smart. He knows street smarts, so he's not gonna get injured or killed over a stupid Walkman that he could just go to the store and get another one. Um, he said, no, you can have it. And my uncle, his older brother, which is the middle brother, my uncle Paul, he was like, yo. Of course, he's in Brooklyn mode now, so he's like he's like, nah, man, um, get the Walkman from him. Take your Walkman back. Nah, man. So Uncle Paul's going nuts, and he takes a big pow. He just punches one guy right in the face, and they just run from the train to get on home, so they don't get caught. But I mean, that's how it was in the '80s for my dad. He's just my Uncle Paul was crazy. He just took one swing at the guy. I was like, yo, let's go, bounce, run with the Walkman. And of course, in the cars later on, I think a little bit more. My dad was like more in his 20s. More later on, they had like a box of cassette tapes that they had in the car on the console. It was like a library of cassette tapes called like a cassette box. And of course, in cars there was I think 8 tracks for the cassette box. I think that's what it's called. I'm not sure. Once again, this is not my era. This is his era. So they will put the tapes in, of course, and they would play the cassette tapes. And they just had like a whole box of cassette tapes and just the good old oldies. Now, mind you, it's old and outdated. My grandparents still have cassette tapes, and we're trying to convince them to go with streaming, which is my era. And of course, the cassette tapes were replaced by CDs. And then, of course, CDs was replaced by streaming, which is now my era. And it was just, that's how the era went. That's how you got your music. That's how music was played. Of course, the reason why parents don't like music from their children is because music is how kids define themselves and identity. For example, when I was heavy into the gangster rap, I'm talking about I wanted to be, just a G guy, just, I won't say a gangbanger, but let me not say that. But I just want to be bad, I just want to be hard and tough. And, my parents had to G-check me, or they had to kind of put me back into reality. I want to be like Snoop Dogg. He always had the khakis and the chucks and the checkerboard shirt with French braids in his hair. And I kind of wanted that identity. And one time I told my mom I wanted Jerry curls. And she was like, no, Joe, that's not an era. That's 1988, 87, 86. Girls now don't like guys with wet hair and Jerry curl activation. That is old and outdated. Just like the cassette tapes, that is old and outdated. You need to stay in your era. And that's how I was. That's how I defined myself. That's what I wanted. I always wanted. I told my mom I want a Walkman too, and she's like, Joe, once again, that's not your era. That's our era. And that's what I grew up listening to. That's what I grew up around. And as I got older, I had to say to myself, or I had to eventually come to the conclusion that, you're not, the 80s is not your era. 2000, the 10s, and 2011, those are my era. So I need to stay with that, and I need to dress in that era. And that's where I get my identity from. Now, as a parent, if you want to give advice to a kid who's acting just like me or something similar, remember that you too had that every generation has their little growing up habit or their little phase that they go through. So you need to remember that just as you had a phase, they have phases that they go through when listening to music. So please ignore it. Remember that kids go through stages. I just mentioned that when they're trying to figure out themselves or what to do with themselves. Number 2, limit the music if your child is showing signs that his schoolwork or her schoolwork is going down the drain. Back when I was heavily into G-rap, okay, you know all that stuff. And this is why parents hate the music, is because music is because of love. Now, parents have a love for their kids, and they don't want to see them not suffer, but go through stages like what they went through. Because, I don't know, I'm not a parent, but I guess it's because it's a waste of time and it's a waste of their energy, their youthful energy. Love for music is what connects us all. For example, my mom, she loves Prince. My parents loved Prince growing up. Prince, to me, he was majorly talented. I mean, this guy's house had studios. He had like 2 private beaches, a tennis court. Prince was just all out cool to me. And I didn't want to be him, but, he was just some guy that the music was just great. He was mad talented. He could play the drums, the piano, the guitar. He could do it all. And I kind of miss, in my era, nobody does that anymore. Everything is auto-tuned, I don't understand what the words they're saying. They're mumbling. I had to go look up lyrics to understand what they're saying. That's my generation. But their generation the music was just all out. It just fun. It just brings back memories. It was very great music, and I kind of floated to my parents' music because mine is just don't make any sense. And it connects. That's what I loved. It connected me and my mom, or me and my parents together. So when you reject their music, it's kind of like you're rejecting them. As I told you, when it comes to music, it's not a vibe, but when it comes to music, it defines your personality. So when my dad is just blaring Prince, I kind of get in a little groove too. And when I do that groove thing, my dad is happy and excited because I've accepted his music. Whereas I kind of sort of accepted him into my characteristics. And that's what connects us all. So when you disapprove of people's music, it's kind of like you're cutting them away from yourself, or you're cutting the tie that connects between you and the person. Another reason why parents freak out about kids' music is fear. Music gives the parents that the kids are growing up, they're starting to discover who they are, what they like, what they don't like, and it's freedom from that kid that you have raised all your life that said, I want this daddy, or I love you daddy, and now he's getting older. He wants to be a little bit more independent. Or she wants to be a little independent. That's just how it is. It's a sign that your kid is growing up and he's moving on with his life. Now, I want to predict the music. I have very little time left. The prediction of music in this new decade is, one of them is through licensing and partnership. I've always wanted to be a partner, or I love collaborations. Whenever I see a collaboration of 2 artists that I found amazing working together, it's like, that's the bomb. I love that. I love that sound. And that's what it's all about. That's what the music of my generation is all about, or the music in the future, in 2021 and beyond. That's what it's all about, collaborations and making your mark on the future. And when they do these collaborations, and when the artists come together and they make music together, it puts a brand name through the market. It makes their names known. It makes them big and important. The second thing with how the music and beyond is moving forward, or is brand names through the market. I'm sorry, not brand names through the market. I'm sorry. It's with Spotify and YouTube. When it comes to Spotify and YouTube, they do this thing called catalogs. And in catalogs, there's all your songs that you've written, all the songs you've made and constructed, people you work with. They received like 40,000 songs, I think, since the pandemic. That's how much. And yes, the pandemic, just like ministry, has changed the music culture too. Because, everybody's getting sick, they're dying, everybody's in the house all day. And so it gives artists a chance to work on their music and get their catalogs out, because this is the right time to investigate and to sell catalogs during the pandemic, because you're not doing much in the house. The third thing is like collaboration in music, gaming too, which is going to be my second topic, but unfortunately I can't make that topic due to unfortunate circumstances of the work you do. Through gaming, that's how artists are being recognized, or they put their debut through games. I found most of my music through video games. There's one song that I like. It's called My Favorite Mutiny, and it was played by NBA 2007. And that was my favorite song. The bass was bumping, and the music was just hot. And I guess that's how I discovered them. Not discovered them, but that's how I came to like their music, or the people who made their music. Gaming and music are becoming the future, especially when artists put out their debut. And number 5, 2010s are about having a playlist. Now, it is about having the 2010s was about having a playlist. Okay? To me, that was the last era where people actually said words from their mouths and it made sense. To me, that was kind of like the last era until like the 2020s, and that's when everything was just, it was just like, everything was not Photoshop, what's the word? I'm sorry, forgive me. Everything was just, it's not Photoshop, give me the word. Everything was auto-tuned. Now everything's auto-tuned. Now, it's about having a vibe with your music you create. Everything's about auto-tune, and it's about getting the young people to listen to beats. It's all about beats now, and that's how young people make money. That's where the real money is, making your own beats. And through that, I'm trying to make my own label, which is called Red Triangle Beats. I got it from Batman Returns. But that's how you make your music, and that's how you get not only well paid, but get recognized because of the vibe that you send out. And when it comes to my vibe, once again, I'm into oldies music, like P. Diddy. What P. Diddy did, he took old records, disco records, and he made them brand new. That's the kind of thing I like. I like sampling. When I hear a nice beat, I'm like, yep, I need to put that in my drum machine in my studio. I have it in the basement, and just rock on with it, rock on. That's how you get vibes for people to listen. Number 6 is, of course, collaborative shows. It's great and it's wonderful to have artists on your show or featured artists on your show, but you can't do it throughout the entire show because it'll just tire out your whole venue and it'll just wreck it. So it's nice to have artists, but like have one half of the show for featured artists and then the other half for you, because people have come to see you, not the featured artists. So you should do half the artistry with, or do half the show with artists and then the other half with you, just you by yourself. And this is what it's all about, making music. Now, before I go, I like to talk about the scriptures a lot. I am not really religious. I am very religious. I'm sorry. Let me take that back. I am very religious. I have been slacking in it a little bit. I'd like to talk to you guys about how music became for me spiritually. Now, I was taught that when Lucifer was made, let me go back. There's 3 archangels in the Bible. And in those 3 archangels, one was Gabriel, which was the messenger angel, which is how we got the Holy Quran, or the Quran. The second archangel, it was Michael. He was chieftain, or he was the chief general in charge. He was the one that went to war. He was the war angel. And then there was Lucifer. Lucifer was in charge of the music in heaven. So when God would pass through heaven, Lucifer would strike up the band, and everybody would start singing, giving God honor. And when God made Lucifer, the spirit of prophecy says that his lungs were pipe organs, and it's like he was made for music. He was designed for music. And when God kicked him out of heaven after giving him so many chances, after chance, when he fell to earth, God did not take any of his powers away from him. So whenever you see a problem in the church, or you see an issue in the church, or while the church is becoming sort of discord-like and everybody's fighting, it's because it starts from the choir. That's where it starts from. And that's why we need to tell the young people, be careful of what music you bring into your household. And be careful of what you're listening to at night. Because I was taught spiritually that demons can enter through music. Well, that's about time. I have to go check out my show. This is the radio show. I'm sorry. This is the Q Side Show. Check us out on Apple Music, on Instagram, and everything. On social media, check me out. Peace, love. See y'all later. Live from WMCR. Good night.